The town of Kruja was the capital of the Principality of Arbanin in the Middle Ages. The Roman Empire was split in 395 upon the death of Theodosius I into an Eastern and Western Roman Empire, in part because of the increasing pressure from threats during the barbarian invasions. From the 6th century into the 7th century, the Slavs crossed the Danube and largely absorbed the indigenous ancient Greeks, Illyrians and Thracians in the Balkans. Thus, the Illyrians were mentioned for the last time in historical records in the 7th century. In the 11th century, the Great Schism formalized the break of communion between the Eastern Orthodox and Western Catholic Church that is reflected in Albania through the emergence of a Catholic North and Orthodox South. The Albanian people inhabited the west of Lake Ohrid and the upper valley of River Shkodër and established the Principality of Arbanin in 1190 under the leadership of Progan of Kruja. The realm was succeeded by his sons Gene and Dimitri. Upon the death of Demeter, the territory came under the rule of the Albanian Greek Gregory Kimonas and subsequently under the Golem of Kruja. In the 13th century, the principality was dissolved. Arbanin is considered to be the first sketch of an Albanian state that retained a semi-autonomous status as the western extremity of the Byzantine Empire, under the Byzantine Doukai of Epirus or Laskarts of Nicaea. A relief of the Scuola degli Albanesi commemorating the siege of Shkodër. It illustrates Sultan Mehmet II laying siege to the Albanian town of Scutari, then part of Venetian Empire. Towards the end of the 12th and beginning of the 13th centuries, Serbs and Venetians started to take possession over the territory. The ethnogenesis of the Albanians is uncertain, however the first undisputed mention of Albanians dates back in historical records from 1079 or 1080 in the work by Michael Italiates, who referred to the Albanoi as having taken part in a revolt against Constantinople. At this point the Albanians were fully Christianized. Few years after the dissolution of Arbanin, Charles of Anjou concluded an agreement with the Albanian rulers, promising to protect them and their ancient liberties. In 1272, he established the Kingdom of Albania and conquered regions back from the Despotate of Epirus. The kingdom claimed all of central Albania territory from Dyrrhachium along the Adriatic Sea coast down to Butrint. A Catholic political structure was a basis for the papal plans of spreading Catholicism in the Balkan Peninsula. This plan found also the support of Helen of Anjou, a cousin of Charles of Anjou. Around 30 Catholic churches and monasteries were built during her rule, mainly in northern Albania. Internal power struggles within the Byzantine Empire in the 14th century enabled Serbs' most powerful medieval ruler, Stefan Dusan, to establish a short-lived empire that included all of Albania except Durrës. In 1367, various Albanian rulers established the Despotate of Arda. During that time, several Albanian principalities were created, notably the Principality of Albania, Principality of Kastrioti, Lordship of Berat and Principality of Tukagini. In the first half of the 15th century, the Ottoman Empire invaded most of Albania, and the League of Legge was held under Skanderbeg as a ruler, who became the national hero of the Albanian medieval history. After serving the Ottoman Empire for nearly 20 years, Gjergj Kastrioti Skanderbeg deserted and began a successful rebellion against the empire that halted Ottoman advance into Europe for 25 years. Ali Pasha Tipalina was a powerful autonomous Ottoman Albanian ruler, governing over the Pashalik of Ioannina. With the fall of Constantinople, the Ottoman Empire continued an extended period of conquest and expansion, with its borders going deep into Southeast Europe. They reached the Albanian Ionian Sea coast in 1385 and erected their garrisons across southern Albania in 1415 and then occupied most of Albania in 1431. Thousands of Albanians consequently fled to Western Europe, particularly to Calabria, Naples, Ragusa, and Sicily, whereby others sought protection at the often inaccessible mountains of Albania. The Albanians, as Christians, were considered an inferior class of people, and as such they were subjected to heavy taxes, among others by the Devshirme system that allowed the Sultan to collect a requisite percentage of Christian adolescents from their families to compose the Janissary. The Ottoman conquest was also accompanied with the gradual process of Islamization and the rapid construction of mosques, which consequently modified the religious picture of Albania. A prosperous and long-standing revolution erupted after the formation of the Assembly of Legge until the siege of Shkodër under the leadership of Gjergj Kastrioti Skanderbeg, multiple times defeating major Ottoman armies led by Sultans Murad II and Mehmed II. Skanderbeg managed to gather several of the Albanian principles, amongst them the Arianites, Tukagjinis, Zaharias, and Topias, and establish a centralized authority over most of the non-conquered territories, becoming the Lord of Albania. Skanderbeg consistently pursued the goal relentlessly but rather unsuccessfully to constitute a European coalition against the Ottomans. He thwarted every attempt by the Ottomans to regain Albania, which they envisioned as a springboard for the invasion of Italy and Western Europe. His unequal fight against them won the esteem of Europe, also among others financial and military aid from the papacy in Naples, Venice and Ragusa. When the Ottomans were gaining a firm foothold in the region, Albanian towns were organized into 4 principal sanyaks. The government fostered trade by settling a sizable Jewish colony of refugees fleeing persecution in Spain. The city of Vlorë saw passing through its ports imported merchandise from Europe such as velvets, cotton goods, mohairs, carpets, spices and leather from Bursa and Constantinople. Some citizens of Vlorë even had business associates throughout Europe. The phenomenon of Islamization among the Albanians became primarily widespread from the 17th century and continued into the 18th century. Islam offered them equal opportunities and advancement within the Ottoman Empire. However, motives for conversion were, according to some scholars, diverse depending on the context, though the lack of source material does not help when investigating such issues. Because of increasing suppression of Catholicism, most Catholic Albanians converted in the 17th century, while Orthodox Albanians followed suit mainly in the following century. Since the Albanians were seen as strategically important, they made up a significant proportion of the Ottoman military and bureaucracy. A couple of Muslim Albanians attained important political and military positions who culturally contributed to the broader Muslim world. Enjoying this privileged position, they held various high administrative positions with over 24 Albanian Grand Viziers. Others included members of the prominent Kuprulu family, Zogan Pasha, Muhammad Ali of Egypt and Ali Pasha of Tibalina. Furthermore, 2 sultans, Bayezid II and Mehmed III, both had mothers of Albanian origin. The Albanian Renaissance was a period with its roots in the late 18th century and continuing into the 19th century, during which the Albanian people gathered spiritual and intellectual strength for an independent cultural and political life within an independent nation. Modern Albanian culture flourished too, especially Albanian literature and arts, and was frequently linked to the influences of the Romanticism and Enlightenment principles. Prior to the rise of nationalism, Albania was under the rule of the Ottoman Empire for almost 5 centuries, and Ottoman authorities suppressed any expression of national unity or conscience by the Albanian people. Through literature, Albanians started to make a conscious effort to awaken feelings and started to make a conscious effort to awaken